Okay, here we go again. I made a rectangle. Okay, landscape mode, made a rectangle halfway down. A quick, easy way to get the gradient inside this box. What are the problems? Let me show you the problem I'm trying to talk about. If I click here on the gradient option right here, what happens is it makes it black and white or grayscale gradient. Then you have to go and try and choose colors, and it makes it very painful to do that, and it's hard. A quick and easy way to get a gradient with color without having to deal with black and white, a color gradient, is in the swatches window. You'll notice there's one that looks like it's kind of orange to yellow. See it right there? I'm going to choose that one and then alter it. I'm going to choose this one and then alter it. I'll show you what I mean. So again, in the swatches window, there's one that says boom. And I know it's not the colors I want. It's okay. I can now go and alter this. How can I alter this? I can go and alter it by going under Window, Gradients, Gradients, Gradient. Notice you have yellow, 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 red, red. Okay, so the gradient tool, and it says linear, which is fine. This is the gradient tool. You're going to have to get used to using it. Okay, you can delete these little dots. You can add more dots. Each little rectangle here represents a color within my gradient. So you can have really complex gradients, or you can have really simple ones. I run a really simple one, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove some of these. How do I remove them? Well, I'm going to click on one of them and drag straight down. It's gone. Click on one of them, drag straight down. It's gone. Click on one of them, drag straight down. It's gone. Did you see how I did that? Try that. Now to change the color of the gradient, you have two colors on the end. You can simply click on a swatch if you want. So select one of the dots and click. Oh no, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. Let me see. Oh, I can drag from here to there. There we go. You can drag from the swatch to the little box. Drag from the swatch to the little box. Drag from the. So I want to have like a light one to a dark one. I can click on the swatch and drag right on top of that. So I can drag from here to here and remove my mouse. There we go. So I got a nice dark blue to a light blue. Again, how did I do that? In the swatches window, I can drag from the color to the gradient. Drag from the color to the gradient. Now, of course, I don't want my sky going, you know, this is like Star Trek sky, right? We wanted to go from top to bottom. So how do I adjust my gradient? Well, there's actually a gradient tool in the toolbar that allows you to adjust the gradient. And if you go over to the toolbar, on the right side of the toolbar and count down, it's pretty far down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 down. There's one that says gradient tool. When you choose the gradient tool right here, it gives you a line. That line represents the amount of gradient. You can just go and click. If I want to go from top to bottom, with my cursor inside my gradient, I can click straight down like this, and it'll go. If you want it on an angle, you can go like that. If you want it longer, you can drag it longer. You want it shorter, you can drag it shorter. So try that. Try dragging. Again, this tool is 10 down on the right side. 10 down on the right side of the toolbar. You might have a toolbar that's one big long skinny toolbar. Anybody have that and they want double? There's a way of changing it from single to double if I can remember how to do it. This is the little dots up here in the upper corner. There's little arrows all the way in the very top corner where you get single and double tools. Okay. Everybody cool with the gradient? Yeah? Okay, let's make another rectangle at the bottom. Again, I'm going to use the rectangle tool again, and I'm just going to draw another one. Maybe start at the bottom left and drag to the top right so I'm not messing with the other one. And that one, you know, I'm not going to do blue. I'm just going to hit a green color. Boom, green grass. So I'm just going to hit green in my swatches. So again, I dragged from the lower left corner to the upper right corner, and I chose green as my green grass. Now, in order to keep from messing with my hey, this is my background. It's the way I want it to be. It's beautiful, and I don't want to change it. So if you don't want to change it, the best way to do it is, do you remember last class when we were using a scan of an animal, right? And we locked that layer? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my layer window, and if you don't see layers, you can always go under Window Layers. Window Layers. In my layer window, you'll notice I have one that says Layer 1. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to call it background. Background. And I'm going to lock it. Boom. That way, I don't mess with it. Okay. My background, again, open up the layer window. You can change the name of the layer, and then you can lock it. You can lock it. That saves you from, because once you start drawing one object over top of another object, sometimes it wants to combine the top object with the underneath one, and things start getting really messy then, and you don't want to do that. So an easy way is to organize your layers so that different pieces are in different layers. Okay, let's make a new layer, because right now I can't draw anything. Hey, I can't draw nothing. Why can't I draw? Well, the reason why I can't draw anything is because it's locked. Okay, so I'm going to make a new layer. Boom. I might even call it mountains before I start. I'm going to call it M-O-U-N-T-A-I-N-S. Mountains. So I'm going to draw mountains. So maybe make a new layer, call it mountains. Okay, so just like I was using before, I know last class we were using the pen tool and we were making directional arms and all that other stuff. Okay, this time I'm going to use the pen tool, and I'm going to just make dots and let my finger up. I'm going to just do, so I'm going to use the pen tool again. Again, it's the third one down on the left side. It's called the pen tool. I'm not even going to use directional arms or nothing, just like I drew on the board, right? Do you see how I drew that on the board? I'm going to draw it. I'm going to just click with my cursor. I'm going to start in the corner over here, go click, click, click. Don't worry if it's green. We're going to change the color later. Click, click. Don't make them all the same. They'll look like a, maybe make some really high peaks, maybe some low peaks, maybe some medium peaks, maybe some fat ones, wide ones, skinny ones, small ones, little ones. And then once you get down here, always go back to the very beginning, the first point. Always go back to the first point. There. Looks like teeth. Don't worry about the color. We'll change the color. So just click, 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 just like you were connecting the dots, right? You did that when you were a life in this demonstration. First, let's color this. What is a mountain color? I'm going to use kind of a light gray. A light gray. Again, you can choose a kind of light gray. Okay, but that's kind of boring. So again, I'm going to put kind of a dark shadow on one side. Dark shadow on one side. But I don't want to have this object selected when I do that, because when I start drawing the shadow, it's going to want to combine to that object. So what I want to do is I want to lock this. So if you remember in the layers window, we made a layer called mountains, right? Mountains right here. So if I twirl the triangle down for mountains, I don't want to lock the mountains layer per se, just the mountain layer. I want to lock the path that's inside. In fact, you can name this path if you want. This is the big mountain. I might even call it big mountain if you want. But you want to lock this before you start drawing the shadow, because if you try drawing the shadow while this one is selected, it would try to attach it to it. So all I did was lock that. Again, there's a little triangle in my mountain layer. I twirl it down. I can call it a name if I want, and I can lock it. Now I'm going to simply use the pen tool and draw triangles on one side. Watch how I do it. I'm just going to draw a triangle. There we go. Draw a triangle. Maybe turn the fill off. Stroke. You don't need a stroke. You just want a nice kind of dark gray. Draw a triangle on the one side, kind of dark gray like that. Draw a dark gray triangle on one side. Just using the pen tool. Very simple. Boom. You're just clicking boom, boom, boom. Triangle. Boom, 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 boom. Triangle. Boom, 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 boom. Triangle. Boom, 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 boom. If you make a mistake, like, oh, geez, if I zoom in there, you'll notice it's not quite right. In the layer window, I twirled the mountain layer down. I have a big mountain, and right here is a lock, lock, lock. Okay, so if you make a mistake, you can just hit delete. twice, the points will go away and make a new one. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. And just having that little shadow on the side. Hey, doesn't that look a little 3D now? Somewhat. I don't know. Gives it a little more 3D effect just by putting it. Again, I'm going to do one more thing, and then I'm going to finish my mountain layer and start a new layer. Okay, again, one more thing. I'm going to have rolling hills, right? Think of, when you're looking at the Sierra Nevada, right? You got your little brown rolling hills, and then you got your peaks in the background, right? So let's do some brown rolling hills. Same layer, same mountain layer. This time I'm going to use the pencil tool. We already know how to use the pencil tool. If you want more precise, again, if you remember, you can double click on it. You can have smoother. It's going to give you smoother kind of look. More accurate will give you more accurate. What that means is it puts more dots down. As you're dragging with the pencil tool, it puts more dots down to make it more accurate. When you're accurate, smooth. So that's all it is. Make sure the fill new path is there if you want to make it filled. And all I'm going to do is just kind of do some rolling hills. Don't worry about the color right now. We can add color later. But I'm just going to kind of do rolling hills. Look at just following with my pencil. Rolling hills. Kind of just a rolling hill. Like that. And then if it doesn't have it selected to color it, and when you're done, you can always just use the black selection tool and select it and then color it. We want kind of brown rolling hills. I don't know, that's not a very good brown. Ooh, that's ugly. That's better. I don't know. Rolling hills. And you can even add more detail to that if you want. You can do another rolling hill if you want over top of that to give it a little bit more detail if you want. I don't know. So I'm done with my mountain layer. I might even lock it. Hey, boom. I don't want to mess with it. It's done. Let's start a new layer. Let's cheat and do the sky next, because the sky's fun. So let's call it sky. So I'll teach you the fluffy clouds first. Then we'll do the green grass later. Let's do the sky next. Okay, so one of the tools I use a lot is effects. Okay, effects. So if I want to make a fluffy cloud, I'm going to use the same pencil tool that we've just used. I'm going to draw kind of my cloud shape, a standard cloud shape. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to blur it. Okay, so there's an effect. Just like you might have done that inside of Photoshop, there's a blur effect. So after I draw my shape, I'm going to blur. What blurring will do then is take the shape and it'll make it fuzzy. And the edges will be soft. What those edges will then will blend with the background, because when you look at a cloud, look outside, oh, look at those big fluffy cute clouds out there. Okay, so let's zoom in and make some clouds. To do that, I'm going to do Command plus, and you look out the window there, you can see some clouds out there. You might want to draw a shape like that. So you can look out the window there, and again, I can use my pencil tool, not the pen tool, that's too much work. Pencil tool. Okay, now it's saying, oh, I can't draw. Why? Oh, because now I was in the wrong layer. That's why. Make sure you have your sky layer selected if you want to make sure, because if you're in the mountain layer, it's going to say, no, sky layer. In addition, I'm going to draw my my fluffy shape cloud. So ones that are close are kind of bigger, right? These ones are kind of bigger, the ones that are close. And the ones that are farther away are going to be smaller, right? And maybe put it over top of your mountain, that's okay. We can then, if you want, when we're drawing, right now we could drag it under the mountain so it's behind the mountain. So you might want to draw with a color first. I started just drawing with the ugly brown. Oof. Again, you might want to start. I'm going to do a white, kind of a white, light gray. There we go. I don't know. Draw some. They don't look beautiful right now, but we'll make them look beautiful. There we go. There's another cloud. Remember, there's another cloud right there. Small ones in the back. Things far away are smaller, right? Small one in the back. 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 Oof, I don't know if I like that one there. I might leave that one there. Maybe a little bit bigger one closer to us. Maybe a little bigger one. A little bit bigger one. Then maybe a really big one here. Really big one. Okay, there we go. So draw some fluffy clouds. Draw them first, and then we'll blur them all together. So draw some shapes, cloud-looking shapes, and then we'll blur them all together. If you want, you can actually combine colors in there, because I know all the clouds aren't the same color. If you really wanted to add, you can add maybe a dark color in there, and then maybe a little bit darker gray. That didn't work because I didn't have it selected. There we go. Where are we at? There we go. A little darker gray, maybe. If you had time. I know we don't all have a bunch of time. I'm doing this kind of quick. So, how I'm going to do this, I'm going to select all, hitting Command A on the keyboard. It selects all my clouds all at the same time. Command A, right? It selects everything in that layer. The blur option is under Effects. If you go under Effects, you have one that's called, and you go kind of towards the bottom of Effects, you'll see one that's called Blur. And the blur that we like to use is called Gaussian blur. Gaussian. The reason why we use a Gaussian blur is because you can dial in an amount. So if we choose Gaussian blur and hit preview to see what it does first, and you can start seeing the fuzziness coming. If you want more fuzzy, you can go a little higher number. If you want less fuzzy, you can use a lower number. If you find a nice balance, say, hey, that looks great. Hit OK. Beautiful fluffy clouds. Look at that. Okay, very good technique to give you. The downfall of this is it doesn't print nice. You see how it's kind of blurry and it looks kind of blocky? It kind of prints that way. One way to avoid these problems, and I know I don't talk about printing till about halfway through this class. One way to avoid these blockiness is you can either rasterize it or turn it into a bitmap, or there's some other techniques. Easiest is probably rasterizing it, things like that. Notice how I had a dark gray over top of the light gray, and you can manipulate your clouds even after you've done that. You got your white selection tool, right? You got your direct selection. You can come over here and grab a point and move it. Look out. Oh, I want a bigger cloud there. I want a smaller cloud there. You can go and grab the points and move them around. Want a longer cloud, shorter cloud. Everything's totally manipulative. Bubble. I don't know what that means. Manipulative. You can manipulate it. How about that? I don't know if I like this dark gray one in there. I'm going to get rid of it. Okay.
How do you change the gradient again, like what you did with the sky gradient when it was orange?
I don't know. There's a whole bunch. Do you have the gradient tool up? The gradient. What do you mean by change the gradient? The color of the gradient or the direction of the gradient?
The color.
There's a gradient option. Is there not under there? Under gradient, and you have two dots, one here and one there. You change the colors and move this around in there.
Under window?
It's called gradient.
Okay.
Gradient. Window, gradient.
Okay.
And then you can change the gradient there.
Great.
Okay, everybody cool with the sky? We can lock that if you want. Boom. Hey, we got the top part pretty much done, right? Okay, now we're going to do the green grass. Green grass. So in the green grass, let's make a new layer. Green grass. Whatever I didn't give it a name. Whatever we can call bottom. Whatever you want to do. Okay, so for the bottom, I'm going to have a river kind of running through it. Okay, so to do a river, you kind of draw a shape like this. You can even use the pencil tool, right? You can use the pencil tool. Remember, the river will be bigger towards the front and smaller in the back, right? If you're doing depth, right? So in this case, if I use the pencil tool here, I can, before I even draw, I might even choose blue as a color. Hey, what color I want my river to be. There we go. And then I'm going to kind of start on one side and kind of draw a river like this, and then make it wider there, and then draw it like this so it gets tiny in the back. Something like that. There we go. That looks like a nice river. All I did was use the pencil tool, drew a couple squiggly lines. You might want to zoom in, Command plus, zooms in, right? You might want to use the space bar to get a hand to move it around. Here's my river. Anyway, just using the pencil tool. Remember, skinnier in the back, wider in the front. You can manipulate the points after you make them. Woo. There we go. Wider, skinnier. Always manipulate the points after you make them. Okay, so now this is kind of boring if it's all one color, right? Wouldn't it be nice if my river had some more than one color? So if you remember the technique that my student uses a lot, her name is Donna. Like this. Maybe not as much on these, but she uses brushes. If you look at the very bottom down here, you have this kind of rough brush, here. And so she uses the charcoal brush. So I'm going to use the charcoal brush to make kind of rapids, right? Water has rapids, moving in it, right? So she uses the charcoal brush, you can see it here, to give herself some nice kind of texture. So we want to have some rapids in our water. I'm just going to use the charcoal brush, a brush with a charcoal and some light blue or some light color, and we're going to just draw little strokes with the brush tool. So again, to bring that up, we're going to use the paintbrush, which is this one right here. It's the fourth one down on the right side. And again, I'm going to change the color to a nice lighter color, maybe a lighter blue, whatever color you think rapids would be. I'm going to zoom in, and in addition, I'm going to change to the charcoal. To get a charcoal brush is under Window, Brushes, right there. Or in the second one, so under Window, Brushes, the second one in the list is called Charcoal. Charcoal right here, Charcoal. And notice how it's going to do the stroke color. So even if you give it a fill, it might not work. You want to do the stroke color is the color it's going to draw with. So, think about where the rapids might be and just draw. I'm going to kind of, the rapids are kind of round. Maybe right there. Maybe they go down this way a little bit. If you want to make it smaller, you can change the size by using the stroke size. So if you want half this size, like I just drew there, half that, I can go to a half a point. Okay, half a point. Draw some more. Maybe there's a waterfall right here. There we go. Maybe there's a little rapid right there. Maybe put a rock in there and have the water going around. You can just use your pencil tool, maybe make a little rock in the water there, and fill that in with some color. There's a little rock. There we go. Oh, I need to select it first. Maybe fill that in with a color. And then there's a paintbrush. The water's flowing around my rock here. I don't know. Whatever you can think. I know it's kind of simple. But the brush could be a great way of adding texture to your object. We're going to go into symbols, so move your stuff around. We're not using brushes right now. I'm going to close that if you want. I'm not using type. I'm going to close that. I'm going to keep my layers open though. It's fine. And I'm going to go under Window, and I'm going to bring up the Symbols option. Symbols. Now right now when you bring up the Symbols option, it looks kind of boring. There's a flower there. There's an ink splat. And I don't know, whatever these things are. But in the upper right corner of the symbols window, so if you see symbols, let's move it out a little bit. I'm going to move it around a little bit. If you want to move things around, just grab the name of the pop-up window, move it around. In the symbols window in the upper right corner here, you'll notice there is a pop-up window. So whenever you're in a sub window here, like I'm in a sub window inside of Illustrator, in the upper right corner here, there's like a pop-up menu. So you got to kind of click right up here in the very top right corner of there. There's more options. When you click on the more options, you can go all the way down and it says Open Symbols Library. Open Symbols Library. And there's already a bunch of nature stuff. So if you go down to where it says Open Symbols Library, you'll notice, woo, there's a whole bunch of them. Arrows, textures. Look, there's artistic textures. That's, you know, that charcoal brush was really cool, but there's a lot more in there than just a charcoal brush. There's all kinds of different brushes in there. And then where were we at? We got charts, celebration, community, dot patterns, fashion, floored, vector pack, flowers. Hey, you might want to put flowers in your thing. They used to have one that was nature. Oh, it is. It's still there. All the way towards the bottom, there's one that says nature. Do you see that one? Boom. Click on that. Inside the nature one, you might need to make your window bigger. If you put your cursor in the lower right corner of this pop-up window, you can drag it bigger and see there's rocks, there's trees, there's grass. Okay, there's a whole bunch of things. If you want to use one of these, like let's say I want to put a rock in my water, I can just grab that rock from the symbols library and just drag it out to the screen. Boom. There's my rock. It's there. And it's an object you can scale bigger or smaller too. Hey, that's a better rock than the one I drew. There, you want another rock? Boom, there's another rock. Let's make it bigger. There we go, big rock. Everybody find the nature. Nature is located, again, in the symbols window. Window symbols. In the upper corner over here, Open Symbols Library. Nature. Nature. Okay, so we have some rocks. How about some grass along our river here? Now, dragging each thing of grass out, oof, it's going to take forever. Way too long. So what Adobe introduced is something called a symbol sprayer tool. A symbol sprayer tool. What the symbol sprayer tool allows you to do is choose a symbol and kind of like spray that symbol all over. Okay, so you might want to let's start with trees. Trees are fun. So we got pine trees. Trees one looks like a pine tree, right? I mean, we want to put a bunch of pine trees towards the back of my landscape. So I'm going to choose the one that says tree one, trees one. And the symbol sprayer tool looks like a spray can in the toolbar over here. So if you count down in the toolbar towards the bottom by the eyedropper, there's one that says symbol sprayer tool. It's right here. So again, I chose the trees, pine trees, and the symbol sprayer tool is right here. And let's just see how it works. I'm not even changing the settings yet. I'm just going to click on that, and I'm going to draw. Oh, too big. Look how big those trees are. Oh. Undo, Command Z. Okay, it's too big. Okay, so how can I change that? Well, in this case, I might want to adjust the size of my brush, my symbol sprayer brush, whatever you want to call it. If you double click on the symbol sprayer tool, it'll open up and you'll notice there's something that says diameter. Again, where did I get these settings? Again, where did I get these settings? In the symbol sprayer tool, again, it's towards the bottom on the left side here. If you double click on the symbol sprayer tool, it brings up an option. Inside the option, there's all kinds of ways of spraying your symbol down. Okay, first one is size. Notice how it says 2.878 inches. That's a pretty big tree. So I can make that smaller. I'm going to go down to, I don't know, let's say 0.5, a half an inch, because the trees are far away. In addition, there's a whole bunch of ways you can change your symbols after you spray them. So you got a symbol sprayer tool, hit OK. Let me try again. Oh, it's doing rocks. I didn't want rocks. I want my trees. Click on trees. There we go. They're still kind of big, aren't they? Well, I'm gonna double click again. That was half an inch. I'm gonna go down to 0.3 inches. How about that? Let's see. There we go. Maybe even smaller. Boy, they're all kind of big, aren't they? You can actually change the size of them after you spray them too. So let's go down to half a 0.2. I'm going to spray a couple trees back there. When I'm done spraying them, you got your cursor. You go to the black, the direct selection tool, and you can actually scale them smaller too. See how you scale them? So maybe spray them first and then scale them. There we go. Oh, there's some trees. There's some trees. Uh-oh, I got trees in the water there. There we go. So again, I'm using this tool right here. It's called the symbol sprayer tool. I've chose my trees over here, and I'm going to draw a little bit more. There we go. Maybe a little bit more here, a little bit more there. There you got a little forest back there. There we go. It's going to take a while for you to understand how that tool works. Maybe try adding some grass along your river here. Now, choose a new symbol. Put some grass along the river there. Remember, after you're done drawing it, you can scale it a little bit. There we go.
Is it okay if I do an underwater scene?
You can do any scene you want, as long as it looks beautiful.
Okay, thank you.
There you go. I don't know, try that. It's hard to get used to it. The symbol, there's a lot of settings in there too. There's settings in the symbol sprayer tool to adjust the size of them, right? Not all trees are exactly the same size. Under the symbol sprayer tool, there's a symbol shifter tool, symbol scruncher tool, symbol sizer tool, symbol spinner tool, symbol strainer tool, symbol screener tool, symbol styler tool. Whoosh! Whole bunch of them. Maybe the symbol sizer tool will be allowed to adjust the size of my trees. Oh, we got to select it first. Select my trees. Select my trees. Symbol sizer tool. There we go. Maybe I can change. Oh, it doesn't seem to be doing anything, does it? Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe it needs to be bigger. I don't remember. Spinner? No, that doesn't work either. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. I know there's a way of doing this. I'll have to practice. I don't know. Just show me some. So I know we just did a simple landscape here, but if you remember from, let me save my landscape first. So to save it, I'm going to go under File, Save As, File, Save As. Let me save my landscape, whatever you want to call it. Now, I haven't really organized my crab to be able to bring into here yet, is the problem. That's what I'm trying to say. So I need to really open up my crab. So if I open up my crab from last class, there's a problem with this crab. There's extra symbols. Look, there's extra objects. There's a scan image in there. When you combine files together, you want to be able to combine them so that they fit properly. And if I bring this crab into my landscape, all this other stuff's going to come along. So what I'm trying to say is I want to remove my scan. If you notice, I have a scan crab. Remember, my scan crab is the digital, the bitmap image that I brought. I'm going to trash that. So in the layers window, I'm going to hit the delete trash can right here. Deletes that. Then if I have any extra objects around, like these extra objects, oh, they're all grouped together. Look at that. Oh, that's grouped, that's grouped, that's grouped, that's grouped. Oh. Well, if you have things grouped and you're having problems selecting them, you can always use the white or the direct selection tool and select it and then hit delete. Oh, look at that. One of the things about the white selection tool is it allows things that are grouped together to select the individual pieces. Okay, I wanted to get rid of all that. So any extra stuff. I just want to have the crab all by itself. I don't want any extra stuff. So I went and deleted everything but my crab. Everything but my crab. The next thing I want to do before I bring it in is take the artboard. That white area that you see there is called the artboard. I want to shrink the artboard down so it's just around the object, because when you bring one Illustrator file into another Illustrator, it brings the entire artboard in usually. There's ways to avoid that. There's options you can change and say no, but it's best just to have an artboard that fits the size of your object is what I'm trying to say. Okay, because right now you got all this white space around it, right? Lots of white space. So here I'm going to select all my objects by hitting Command A on the keyboard. Command A selects all my, which is my crab. And I'm going to go underneath Edit, Object, I'm sorry, Object, Artboards, Fit to Selected Art. What that'll do is it'll change the artboard to just be around what I have selected. Right now I have the crab selected. So again, it's under Object, Artboards, Fit to Selected Art, and it'll shrink it down. Notice how the artboard now is just around whatever I had selected. Now I'm going to save it. If I go under File, Save As, I might call it Crab Ready. I'm going to call it Crab Ready because this is ready to bring into the other one, right? I was still working on the other one. As you're working and doing things, you need to learn how to name your files. Sometimes as I'm working on things, I'll say, working 1, working 2. I say multiple things. I come from the days, when I started drawing on the computer back in the late 80s, I was doing drawings for Westinghouse, corporations, and I was getting paid to do it. But the computers were really crap. I had 8-inch floppy disks, right? And they were totally unreliable. They would crash all the time. So, as I was working, I would save multiple versions because eventually the hard drive's going to crash, right? Especially back then, hard drive's going to crash no matter what. And, having multiple versions as I'm working was always a good thing. And so I come from a time when computers were not very reliable. And I would have like working 1, working 2, working 3, working 4 as I go along. So if it crashed, I can always go back to a previous time. You guys feel lucky. You guys are lucky today. You don't know what we had to go through in the 80s and 90s to draw stuff. Whoosh. I had a computer that only has 64 colors. I got 16 million colors in this. One of the first computers was a PDP-11 running Unix, and it only had 64 colors. I had to do drawing with only 64 colors. Try making a drawing with only 64 colors. Okay, I'm going to go back to my landscape. Here's my landscape. There's a couple ways you can bring an object in. I could have actually copied and pasted this object in. The downfall of doing that, though, is it'll see it as not as a separate Illustrator file, but it'll combine the objects with this drawing. And if that's what you want to do, that's fine. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, if I copy and paste, see, watch, if I hit Command A, select all, Command C, copy, come over here and then hit Command V, notice how it goes into my bottom. See, it's in this layer right here, and oh, look at all the objects came over, and they're all kind of separate. See that? They're all separate. Remember my crab back and my eyes are here and my legs. They're all separate. I don't want to do that. What I want to do is I want to bring my crab in as one object. I want it to be all one and not individual layers like this. Okay, so I'm not going to copy and paste like that. What I'm going to do is I saved it already, right? I'm going to go under File, Place. Remember how we placed the object in there before? Place the bitmap in. Remember we used place to place the drawing in? I'm going to go under File, Place, and I'm going to choose my Ready Crab, whatever I called it, Crab Ready. There it is, Crab Ready. And notice how it comes in. Look how my cursor is there. I can draw how big I want my crab to be. You know, so if I want a small crab, I can just click and drag, and it'll make a tiny crab. If I want a big, I can scale that too. After I put it in there, I can scale it if I want. It sees it as one object. Sees it as one object. I put my crab there. I can distort my crab. I can rotate it. I can scale it. I can shear it. So it sees it as one object. The downfall, I think I was mentioning last class about bringing a bitmap image in. Do you remember that discussion about me bringing a bitmap image in and how the bitmap image or the JPEG that I brought in is linked? Remember that discussion last class? Linked. And if I save this Illustrator file and I don't take the crab with this, it'll be missing because they're linked together. Notice it says linked file over in here. Look in my symbols library over here. It says linked file. So it's making a reference to that crab that's on the desktop. So if I save this landscape and just save that landscape and go home without taking the crab with me, it's going to give me an error message and say, hey, you're missing a file. Does that make sense? Okay. There's a way to avoid that, is to take the crab and make it part of the Illustrator file. How do we make the crab part of the Illustrator file? Is by using the linked window. There's a pop-up window called links. It's called links right here. So to avoid those problems, you bring up your links. Notice there's a crab right there. It says crab right there because it knows that's the linked file. Instead of using linked right there, there's a pop-up menu right there. We can say embed image. Embed image. And it's a pop-up window in the links. Again, the window I'm looking at is called links. Links. It's a pop-up menu. It's a pop-up menu called links. Where's the pop-up menu? They're all under window. Links. Window. Links. Inside there, there's a way to embed right here. It's under the pop-up menu. Under links, there's a little pop-up menu right here in the upper right corner. I'm going to say embed image. And what that does now is it brings that crab in, and now that crab is part of this Illustrator file. Now if I save the landscape, the crab will be with it.
And if you alter the crab file separately, it won't affect it, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's a good point. If I kept it linked and I went and changed the crab, it would change in here too. Yes. Yeah. You can duplicate it again just like any other object. I could take the crab and make it a symbol and use it as a symbol sprayer. How do I do that? Well, you bring up your symbols window. Remember the symbols window? Here it is, symbols. Symbols. You bring up the symbols window. See symbols? You can bring up a symbols window and you can grab your crab and drag it into the symbols window. And it's going to ask you for a name. Let's call it crab. So drag your crab. Oh, crab. Crab, C-R-A-B. Is that a B? Crab? Oh, C-R-A-B.
A lot of carbs.
Crab.
We eat a lot of them.
Once it's over here in the symbol, remember we were doing symbol sprayer? I can spray with a crab now. Here, let's go over to my symbol. Where's my symbol sprayer? Here it is, symbol sprayer. There we go. Crab Central there. Look at it. The Krabby Beach. So there's a lot you can do with symbols, combining objects together.